Well, here we are. You hear that, Jewell?
Are those crickets?
That is the sound of no baseball, is what
Did
that
you
is.
just did you just get like an overwhelming sense of depression too?
Pure darkness. That's
Pure
what it
dark.
was.
Yeah.
But anyway, welcome to the Baseball Together podcast, Baseball Family. I am Brad, and this week I am joined by our guy, Jewell. Welcome, Jewell. How are you today?
Doing amazing. Always a pleasure.
Aside
Always
from
a
the
pleasure.
darkness?
Aside from the darkness that is the situation that's at hand.
Yes, it is very dark indeed. For those of you who don't know, baseball is currently locked out, which means there is no baseball activity. Brig and I have been talking about this for 2.5 years about now. So Jewell and I will get into it in a little bit. Before we get there, let's talk about some of these last minute deals before the CBA expired, the eve of the first. So first we had, this was something I thought was really funny, Jewell. I don't know if you caught this over the last couple weeks, but the Rangers made a deal for John Gray from
Uh
the Rockies, right?
yeah, no, that was actually in my blog post today of Tasty Talk.
Oh, very nice. Very good.
I talked
So
about this uh
we talked about it last week. I joked with Jonathan about it that the Rangers made a deal for John Gray and actually paid him pretty well. And I was like, I wonder if he thought he was getting Sonny Gray. And then the next day it comes out that the Rangers asked about making a deal for Sonny Gray.
yeah, I don't know what Chris Young was thinking here. I mean, it was literally back in 2018. The guy he's paying $14 million in 2018, which is not that long ago, led the National League in earned runs.
Well, he was pitching in Colorado, so I'll give him a little bit of a pass there. But at the same time, that doesn't happen every year. So
His nearly 4.0 FIP doesn't really give him a pass.
no, it doesn't. You're right. You're
Not
right.
for $14 million.
And let's be honest, we are AL West homers. We are both Mariners fans, so we're going to try to knock the Rangers down as much as we can. It might happen several times throughout the night here. We'll see how it goes.
Don't even know why they like. No one. I just don't understand how Gray got his agent. Hats off to his agent.
Yeah. His agent did some finagling there, and I'm convinced that they thought it was Sonny Gray. Like he
I
thought that he was talking to Sonny Gray's agent.
Yeah, I think what if the same agent represents both of them, and then his agent was like, "Oh, here's John."
It could
It's
have
like, "Oh,
been.
okay, pitcher works out
It
for
could have
me."
been, yeah, a pitcher named Gray. But yeah, so the Rangers apparently did inquire about trading for Sonny Gray. That's your funny for the week right there. The next deal we had, Chris Taylor went back to the Dodgers. I'm not really surprised about that because he wasn't going to fetch a whole lot of money on the market. He's a
Nope.
really good player. He's a great postseason player. He's come in clutch for the Dodgers several times in the last few years, but he's kind of been buried, like I said, kind of been buried in the regular season, and so he
Yep.
hasn't had a chance to prove himself there yet.
He's a
But here he
great
is.
Dodger.
He is a great Dodger. He'll go down as one of the great Dodgers because of the impact he has had
Mm-hmm.
on the postseason.
Yep.
So good for
He's
him.
great
4
for
years,
the
60 million.
Dodgers.
Yes. 4 years, 60 million. And this is the thing too, is that up until this year, he belongs in the National League because of
Oh
the whole
yeah.
thing with the pitchers and everything like that. If they end up doing something like tying the DH to the pitcher, I could see him being a late game DH and being fantastic at it.
Oh yeah. No, and I think he even has a chance to be a starter this next season. With second base opening up there,
That's true. Yeah,
second base will be
shortstop.
wide open. Shortstop, well, Trey Turner should be moving over to short.
That's true. You're right. Yeah, Trey Turner will be over at short, but yeah, second base will be open, and Chris
I
Taylor
think
could
left
have
field
a
too.
major impact there. Yeah, I mean the dude can play anywhere. He can
Yeah.
literally play anywhere and play it well too. He's not like your
Mm-hmm.
jack of all trades utility guy who does fine, who's serviceable. He's really good at what he does.
Yeah, no, he's great.
So
He's fantastic. He's well earned 15 mil a year.
definitely, yeah, good for him. We also had Marcus Stroman going to the Cubs, 3 years, $71 million there. That's a lot of money. The
Yeah,
Cubs, especially for the Cubs, a team that, granted, they have a really strong farm system right now after all the wheeling and dealing they did at the trade deadline this year. But I don't. That's a win now move, and I don't see them winning in the next 3 years.
I think a lot of it also with a couple of these moves, like this move for the Cubs, is possibly setting up for what we could see with CBA talks, a salary floor.
It could be, yeah. I mean,
I think it's a lineup move. I mean, that's what I feel with a few of these moves. Honestly,
the
like,
team's spending money because they feel like they're going to have to.
yeah,
Maybe, I don't know,
but
but man, that's like I said. That to me, that's my first thought was win now, and I don't feel like they're going to win in the next 3 years because Stroman's a guy you bring in to
oh yeah,
like round out your starters, right?
yeah. But I think 3 years. He's 30, so they're gonna get the back half of his prime, unless he has an extended, late career, which he could.
I
He
don't
did
think he's
miss
going to
some
end up
time
being
with
like a
injuries.
Scherzer though.
No, but I think he'll be a serviceable like 3-4. But
Hmm.
why not make your money with at the tail end of your prime?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, if I was him, I'd take the money for sure. I was just a little confused about the Cubs, but that's just me.
I mean,
We haven't.
he's going to be everything for them, though. He's going to
He
be
is.
the guy.
He
So
is. Yeah, and that might be what he wants to.
yeah,
But we've also got Mark Melancon,
Melancon.
Melanson. Not even close. Wow. To the D-backs. Maybe I need to learn how to read a pronunciation guide. Mark Melanson going to the
Play
Diamondbacks.
MLB the Show.
There you go. Or maybe don't watch games on mute anymore. I don't know.
No,
Maybe that should be my next step.
no,
Two
that's the
years, four.
funny. That's today's funny, guys. We got you with the first one.
2 years, 14 million for him. That's a good move for the D-backs. They needed some
I love
pitching,
it.
and he'll come in. And good deal for him. Good deal for the D-backs.
Oh, great
He's
deal.
what 37 right now.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit older, so a guy that you can still count on in the eighth, ninth inning to
And
get the job done.
The D-backs are really young. Aside from Mad Bum, they're really young. So
Oh
having a
yeah,
guy come in like him and kind of, I don't know if it's like bring order to
bridge,
that clubhouse,
bridge.
a bridge, yeah, but also like I don't know, bring in some experience besides Mad Bum.
Yeah,
Have another
besides
guy
Mad Bum and Ketel
who
Marte,
can help that.
and yeah.
Because man, like that team is so young. I remember going to games last year and looking up on the scoreboard when guys would come up and like first off, they all looked like they were about 14 or 15 years old and made me feel really old. But most of them were probably 23, 24, 25 tops.
Mhm,
The majority of
mhm.
them. So that's a really young team. If they can figure it out, they could be really good.
Yeah,
But
no, I
I
agree.
don't, I don't know. They had a rough year last year. Then I think it'll be good for them to bring him. And then Corey Knebel to the Phillies.
The
One
Phillies
year,
needed
10
it.
million.
The Phillies needed a bullpen move. It doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
scream like let's surround our now two-time MVP with more talent,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well, he has
they
plenty of talent
really,
around him.
they really needed, they really needed bullpen help.
Big time, big time. They struggled in the bullpen this year, and
Like
it
they would
is
have been in the
helpful.
playoffs if they would have had a Knebel.
That's the thing that's crazy about Major League Baseball. It's 162 game season, but then it comes down to like the last couple days so often, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I wonder about teams in April and May. I don't want to say mailing it in close games, but maybe not like making every move they could have to win a game in April or May because it's only April or May and it's a long season, right? Like
Yeah,
the one that
no,
comes to
I
mind
agree.
specifically for me was with the Mariners probably 8 or 9 years, 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that. They had Justin Smoke, this is to tell you how long
Mm-hmm.
ago it was, on first base as the tying run. And they didn't pinch run for him. There's
I
a
think
ball
that's
hit
when
in
they
the
even had D Gordon, and I don't think D Gordon was in that game.
No, it was just pre D Gordon.
Oh, it's pre
Um,
D.
yeah, it was. But still, they had guys on the bench who could run for him. Eric
Anyone
Burns might have
faster
even
than
been
Justin Smoke.
Burns might have even been on the team at the time. Um, but it might be anyway. I might be mixing up my timelines. But anyways, there was a shot in the gap, and he was out by about 4 feet of the plate. If they had anybody else in there who could move, that's a tie game, and they go
Oh
on, and then
yeah,
they end up. I was like, you got to try to win those games still, especially when you're Seattle, and it's going to
yeah.
come down to the last couple games of the season if you're in the hunt.
And I think that's another thing. Even to allude to possibly later in this episode when we talk about a possible expanded playoff format. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of the things that could change is that we see more competition starting in April as opposed to August.
Mm-hmm. I
Because
agree.
every game truly will matter. When there's, I mean, we see it in the NFL right now.
Oh yeah, and granted, it's only a 17 game season. Let's just get into it. Let's get into it right now because that's just our next thing on the lineup here. So the CBA expired, like I said, at 11:59 on the first of this
Mm-hmm.
month. So going into the second, we no longer had a collective bargaining agreement in Major League Baseball as of 12:01, I believe it was.
For the
The
first time in
owners
27
had
years.
a work stoppage. The owners locked out the players. Um, Rob Manfred, I think it was at 12:02, released a letter to the fans. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will put a link down in the description for you. Basically, what it was he came out hot against the players, tried to
Oh, yeah.
paint them as the enemy in this, saying that their inability to bring negotiable points to the table and negotiate with the owners is the reason this happened. Basically, saying that this is their fault. The reason we locked them out is because
Yeah.
it's their fault. It's like, well, no. I mean, I'm not a big Tony Clark fan myself, but at the same time, like the owners, like Rob Manfred isn't the best negotiator either. We saw that happen last
No.
summer.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We all know how that went. 60 games.
Well, and going back to that though, like I think we saw the mess that was last summer. Like Brig and I have been doomsdaying this, like I said, for like two and a
Oh,
half
yeah.
years
We,
now.
we all know this was coming, especially since COVID. We all knew this was going to
Yeah,
come.
and last summer, watching all this, all the negotiating, quote unquote, going on, and then finally when they did reach an agreement, and Rob Manfred said 60 games was always the number. It's like, excuse me, that reeks of not negotiating in good faith to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's a terrible move and terrible thing for him to come out and say because A, the players should have filed a grievance against that and maybe
Oh,
sued
yeah.
them, and B, it's like then why didn't you pitch 60 games to begin with?
Yeah. No, like, why even try to do a half a season, start after the All Star break or
Yeah,
anything like that? It was, I don't know, it was bad from the beginning.
it was,
And
and that inability to negotiate plus Tony Clark's inability to budge and compromise is
yeah,
what's got us in this mess right now.
yeah,
Like it's really frustrating, and I don't want, like I said, I don't want to be like a doomsdayer about this, but I'm holding off on buying my spring training tickets at this point. That's for sure.
me
I
too.
live
And
down the street.
I was wanting to plan to, I want to plan a trip.
I know. I know.
I
I'd
want
love
to
to come
take my
down and
kids,
host you.
and I want to, yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's, but but there are some main issues, like some main talking points that have
Oh yeah,
led to this point. Like Joel, you've talked about the salary floor and the salary cap
yeah,
is typically like there typically can't be a floor without a cap. But you said that you were reading places that they were talking floor with no cap. Is that
yep.
right?
So I'm actually, yep. So I'm posting something on Thursday on the blog. Actually hitting 5 key points of CBA negotiations, and salary cap floor is one of them. So one of the best things about baseball is that we don't have a salary cap, which is
Mhm.
great. We have the luxury tax instead. The luxury tax hasn't been raised since 2012. So it's about 15 to 18% off to where it should be
Mhm.
going into this season with proper inflation and proper like just raises over the course of time, which the owners have basically each saved $100 million over time because of it.
Wow.
Um, yeah, they've saved a lot of money because of it. Um, but no, the floor. Essentially, what I think happened is that there's a floor, but there's no cap, and the luxury tax gets raised.
No,
So
yeah,
it's
and
the
I saw that was something that I think the owners proposed.
yes, the owners just proposed it. The owners are all for a floor.
And
The
the
owners
players
are
are
for a
too. The
floor.
players want a floor too because that means the
Yep,
teams are having to pay guys.
exactly. But I think it means, and it also gives them what they want. It also gives the players what they want in essence too by paying younger guys sooner
Hmm.
because they'll have to do more in-house extensions. You'll have to see, like for the Mariners, for example, you'll have to see like a Jared Kelenic, a Cal Raleigh, a Logan Gilbert, guys
Hmm.
who they actually want to pay and keep. And they can put 7 of those contracts together and still have a lot of money to spend elsewhere to meet the floor.
Right. Yeah,
You
and
know,
And this
So
is one of the things too, is that Brig and I have been beating the drum mercilessly about like baseball needs a salary cap. Baseball needs a salary cap. It'll help with competition. And over the last like month, I've been like, no, the salary cap is not the issue. Is
the
not
salary
the
cap's not
solution.
the. Mm-mm.
The solution is a salary floor.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, I understand why the owners would want a salary cap and would want a luxury tax, and it's to protect them from themselves. But to be
Yeah.
completely honest, like, you don't get that rich being an idiot. And I feel like
No.
they would understand that the market is what they set it as. Like, these players can go out and ask for $500 million, but if nobody's willing to pay them, they've got to come down. They can go, and then
Exactly.
they can come back and ask for $400 million. But if nobody's willing to pay them, they've got to come back again with a new number. And the fact
Yep.
that like Artie Moreno goes out there and gives Mike Trout, who is the most deserving of all the money in the world, by the way, as far as
Oh
baseball
yeah.
goes, $450
Agreed.
million. But then you've got guys coming out like in the next couple of years, and they're like, "Well, I want $450 million." Like, no, you're not worth 450.
You're not Mike Trout.
Exactly. And the problem is that there's somebody like Jack Zarenzik who's going to be like, what does Robbie Cano want? He wants
300
320. What, 325?
deal.
Is there anybody else bidding for Robinson Cano? No?
No.
Well, let's give
No.
him that money anyway. Like, that's the
Exactly.
problem that baseball has, is that there's no set max contract. There's no set maximum amount of years. I feel like they're addressing the issues of competition and like paying their players, but they're going about it in the wrong way. The NBA,
Yeah.
to me, has it figured out with their
So
max
the NBA
contracts.
100% does. They have
Like,
it set out for like position, for like your talent, your skill
well,
level.
it's a max number of years, a max dollar amount. And Rob Manfred specifically addressed players hitting free agency earlier does not help the market because those players can leave. I understand that. That's an issue they had in the NBA. How did they solve it? Bird rights. They solved it by offering an extra year, that the home team can offer an extra year on their contracts.
Yeah, they
Like,
can
there are
match.
things.
They can match. You can
Yes,
match that
there are things that
contract.
you can build into the contract to incentivize players to stay, because what those guys want is they want extra years, they want extra guaranteed money. So if you can give them one more year with the same annual average value,
Yep.
like,
And a
they're
lot of
gonna
guys do
stick
want to.
around.
And a lot of guys do want to stay home. I mean, they're
Yeah.
there for 6 years anyway. They're
Yes.
established. They have kids in school, a
Mm-hmm.
family. Like they're parts of their community. A lot
Yep.
of these guys don't want to leave. Like look at Matt Chapman, for instance, of the A's.
Mm-hmm.
He's if there was a floor, the A's would no doubt he would be their first extension. He would go
Oh,
down as a
tomorrow.
lifelong A. He would go down as a
Mm-hmm.
lifelong A and one of the greatest out Oakland Athletics of all time.
Yeah, certainly. And I feel like baseball needs to take a page out of the NBA's book, and they need to incorporate something along the lines of bird rights, which means,
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who don't know what bird rights are, that is a player who plays through his rookie contract and re-signs with his original team. He gets what, an extra year?
I
Oh,
believe it's an extra year.
the team basically gets a year of his contract not counted against the cap,
Yeah.
I believe is what it is. So
Yeah.
there's no repercussions for the team for giving him a whole bunch of money, but then
No.
also
And I think it's that first year of that new contract too.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like that transition. It just gets like
and
spread
the
out
fact
over
that
time.
baseball doesn't have a salary cap, like, just don't count it against the luxury tax threshold,
Yeah.
because teams are teaching or treating it like a salary cap, which is kind of the idea. It's not a
Yeah.
hard cap,
Yeah.
but there is a penalty along the lines of what you would get penalized if you're not staying within a salary cap. Like, it's a sneaky
Yeah.
salary cap is what it is.
It is. It is exactly. And only two teams in 2021 went over the salary cap: the Dodgers and the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
We saw how that ended for one team and how it went for the other team. It doesn't always work.
It
It did
doesn't.
not
No,
work. It doesn't.
and
Didn't
that's the
work for
thing
the
that's funny, is
Padres.
that baseball is the one sport that's without a salary cap, and you're seeing more teams win a World Series, win the title, than there are in any other sport in the last 20 years.
Oh yeah, different teams.
The problem that they have, though, is that there are teams that aren't spending and they're not competitive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the A's can only get to the playoffs. They will not bring in the impact player to take them over the top to win the World
Nope.
Series. The Rays can get to the World Series, but they will not pay that impact player to get them over the top to win the World Series.
They did. They just did.
They just did. Yes, finally. Finally, they
Yeah,
paid him.
no,
But is he going to be? I mean, are the Rays going to make the World Series next year? Is he going to be around? Is it going to be 3 years by the time they make it to the World
yeah,
Series again? And in that time, are they going to have traded him?
I
Because they did to
doubt
Blake
it.
Snell.
That's true. They didn't. They never extended Blake. Well, they did extend Blake Snell.
Yeah, and then they traded his contract to
That's
San
true.
Diego.
But no one wants a 10-year contract. So
No, nobody does want 10 years
except
on
for the
that.
Mets. The Mets wanted Cano.
Apparently the Mets do. Yeah. Well, but at that point, there was 6 years left on it. What, 5 or 6 years left on it?
Yeah,
Maybe a little less than that.
yeah, and I
But
think he's still on the books and could play in 2022.
yeah, as long as he doesn't test positive again.
Nope, he's been raking in the DR.
I'm sure he has been. The dude can hit. The
Oh
dude
yeah,
can play baseball, like flat
yeah.
out.
If there's a DH in the NL, I absolutely think the Mets are like,
Oh yeah, they've got
Robbie,
their guy.
Robbie, here you go. Here's a job for you. Hit the ball. Don't do PEDs.
And we will pay somebody to follow you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and monitor everything that goes into your body because we have to have your bat.
Dude, Steve Cohen will probably do it himself at that point.
I would. I'd
Same.
shower with the dude if that's what it took, man.
Robbie. Robbie.
What is that? It is a Chips Ahoy cookie. Lay off me.
No, give me the cookie, Robbie.
But no, so we talked salary cap floor, free agency time, and arbitration. We talked about that a little bit. That players want to become free agents earlier, which makes sense because 6 years is a long time.
Yeah. Well, there's also a part of this as well when it comes to arbitration. The players also want arbitration after 2 years of service.
Right, and I understand that.
Which, of course, if Kellenic, breaks out after year 1 and year 2, Randy Arozarena, another guy who was broken out after 2 years, or
well, he was technically still a rookie this year.
Exactly, technicality. Another one of those things that's broken, but like they just want arbitration after 2 seasons. That's the biggest thing the players want. They want, 6 years of service down to 5 years of service and 29 and a half years of age, whichever comes first, 5 or 29, which helps those late bloomers. Like not every baseball player is a Mike Trout, Bryce Harper kind of guy. Some
right,
guys
not
are like
everybody's
a
going to get called
JP
up
Crawford.
in 2021. Like Jonathan India is 24 and won the Rookie of the Year this year for the Reds.
Alec Bohm, Jake Cronenworth, both in their mid-20s.
Yeah, and so I totally understand that they want to become free agents earlier because and this is the other thing with that is that the average amount of service time has gone down by almost a year and a half compared to what it was even just like 6 years ago. That's a big deal. And so these guys saying like we want to get paid sooner because our careers are shorter. Analytics are saying that you should not pay us in our mid-30s, in our early to mid-30s because there's a guy 9 years younger who's going to contribute to the team more and for longer.
100%. Yeah, no, exactly. And part of that's also the minor league system in baseball is completely broken too. It's great because there's it's long. It's way too long. Julio Rodriguez
but the
does
thing
not
is,
need
though,
to go to AA at the beginning of this last season.
No,
he should have been in
the thing is,
AAA.
though, I've always argued though that the long minor league system makes for a better product at the top.
But not every guy needs it, but every guy has to go through it, which is.
I know because most guys. Ryan Zimmerman didn't go through the minors at all. He started opening day the year after he was drafted.
So. That's true. But like
that's
some guys,
Billy
Bean needed it.
Right. Yeah, and some guys are in the minor leagues just as sparring partners, as Brig has put it.
Yeah.
They're only there to fill out a roster.
Yep.
And those guys know who they are. They're aware.
Yeah, they do, and they're happy with it because they're at that point in their career. They're like, I'm just living the dream. I love what I'm doing. I'm playing AAA baseball, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. But those are kind of, I guess, your highlights for the CBA. Some of the hot topics, competitive balance. We touched on that. That money and free agency are going to play big roles in what they decide with competitive balance, things like that.
Yep.
So keep an eye on it. If there is any update at all by next week, We're going to talk about it because this is a really important issue, because the longer this drags out, the less likely we are is to have spring training in February. And I
Or
think that
quality spring training, even, or a quality beginning of the season. Because one thing that no
mhm,
one's really talking about is how this affects guys who are injured right now. No one's
that's where I
talking
was headed
about,
next.
like, think about Ken Giles on the Mariners
Hmm.
rehabbing. Doesn't rehab, loses 2 months of progress on his rehab.
Yeah, because they can't work with the team trainers right now.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. So we're probably going to see another year with a ton of injuries, just like we did after the COVID season, because nobody could
Yep.
go to the facility and work out. They go play that 60-game season, and they ramp up with the same amount of time off, and they start
Yep.
spring training, go into the year. So I think, honestly, I think the players are going to are going to have to find a way to compromise on this, because the owners are stuck. Their heels are dug in deep
Yeah,
with
I
this.
think it's two ways on, like, a lot of things. There's like some mutual ground. Like, the owners already said we'll do a universal DH.
Uh-huh.
The
Which helps a
owners
lot of
just
guys.
said, exactly. The owners have said we'll do a salary floor. The owners have said we'll do expanded playoffs. The PA will have to budge on expanded playoffs, which ultimately helps everyone
Which is so weird that
because,
they're like, no, we don't want 14, we want 12. Like,
like,
what?
TV money. TV. Look how great it's doing for the NFL.
Well, this is the thing though, is that all the money from the playoffs goes to the teams, but you're gonna get your playoff, like you're gonna get your playoff shares. Like, that's the thing is, actually, it's not the TV money. It's the gate. The team gets the entire gate during the playoffs, and I think the TV money is split among the players. It's like, but you get your playoff share, and there's more of you to play more meaningful games throughout the course of the season. Like you said before, that there are gonna be more meaningful games played in April, May, June, even by teams that didn't think that they had a chance going into the season. That now they're going to feel like they have more of a chance. They're going to be more competitive. They're going to try to win those games going into the early part of the season. And it's going to make a major impact on attitudes of those small market teams that really struggle, like the Orioles. Like, if I was an Orioles fan, I'd be ecstatic. As a Mariners fan, I'm already looking forward to next year. But even more so, like, there might be teams below the Mariners in the playoffs with an expanded playoff.
Oh yeah.
So,
No, I agree. I think it's great for all of baseball to for an expanded playoffs because, I mean, it's one of those things where the MLB needs to take a page out of the NBA's book for some stuff. They need to
mm-hmm,
take a page out of the NFL's book for this one because it is
mm-hmm.
working for the NFL right now. It is
Big time.
absolutely working. Like, how many more teams are, like, competitive right now? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the whole, like, half the AFC is competitive, half the NFC is competitive. It's like it's great to watch football.
Well, our Seahawks were what, three and
We were tied for 15th.
3-7, and it was like we're like two bounces and 2 weeks away from still being in the hunt.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, no, exactly. And it's week 14, and there's an extra week. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Like now, not so much at 4-8, I think,
but there's
or
a
whatever.
chance. We
But
did
there's a
make it
slight
seven and
chance.
nine one year. We did make it at 7-9 one year.
It's true. It's true. But I don't know. I feel like as a baseball fan, like I don't understand why there's so much pushback, especially by fans with expanded playoffs, because people are worried about it watering us down. It's like, no, we want more playoff baseball. We
No,
want more meaningful games. Like
and we
the
saw it
and
worked last. It's worked in
it did
2020 with the
it did
shortened
work.
schedules. Like,
Yeah,
the shortened, like, it was like boom, 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 boom. It was so much fun.
the thing that kills me too is like, it's like, are the people who are against expanded playoffs, are they fans of the Yankees, the
Oh yeah,
Dodgers, the Cardinals,
oh yeah,
the
yeah,
Red Sox, because
yeah.
they're worried that a team like the Mariners, the Rays, the White Sox, the Giants, the Padres, they're going to come in and knock their teams out and not give them a chance to win a World Series? Is that
100%,
really what you're worried about?
100%. As large
Or are you
market
worried about the
teams,
quality of the playoff?
it's the large market owners that are like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
And the fans of those large market teams, I feel like, too.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But anyway, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Jewell and I are actually going to do a factory reset fantasy draft across all of Major League Baseball, just in case there is an absolute catastrophe with the CBA negotiations.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I never get back with me. Root, root, root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Shop kids' baseball shirts at 9pluss.com.
Welcome back, baseball family. So I talked about how we're going to do a factory reset fantasy draft. But before we do that, Jewell texted me the other day with an interesting question. Go ahead, Jewell.
So I was on the Twitter sphere, as per usual,
The
before
Twitter
bed.
machine, I love it.
Yep, before bed, scrolling through baseball Twitter,
Of course.
trying to get the Mets' attention to be their next manager. But I saw this awesome Twitter feed, like that. The question was, who would you rank as the second best player of the last decade after Mike Trout? Because Mike Trout is number one de facto best player in all of baseball, injury, not injured, of the last decade, the best player in all of baseball. So I shot this question to you. I'm like, I need you to tell me who the second best player is, but I also want to rank all these guys. So those guys are, I'm not going to give these in any order: Betts, Mookie Betts, Miguel Cabrera, Buster Posey, Clayton Kershaw, and Bryce Harper.
Okay.
So who, for you, let's go 5-1.
5-1.
Yeah, let's go
Okay.
bottom to from your sixth best to your second best after number 2 after
Okay.
Trout.
My number 5 is Buster Posey.
My number 5 is Mookie Betts.
Whoa, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Next, I have Bryce Harper.
Ooh, next I have Buster Posey.
Let's see. We could do a whole episode on this.
Oh, we could.
And then next, I have Clayton Kershaw.
Next I have Miguel Cabrera.
And then I have Mookie Betts.
Okay. My third best is Clayton Kershaw.
Wait, so my third was... Wait, I had Kershaw at 3. Did I miss somebody? How many are there? 5,
No, there's
right?
5. Yeah, so this is your... So now we did... So Betts was my 5.
So I had Posey, Harper, Kershaw.
So I had Betts, Posey, Cabrera, or Miggy.
Okay, and then I have Betts as my number 2.
I have Kershaw as my number 2.
And I have Miggy at my number 1.
I have Harper as my number 1.
What? Really? Legitimately behind Mike Trout?
2015, 2021 MVP. 6 years apart for MVPs.
I get it. Part of it is that he came up so young.
Yeah.
And I've said this 100 times if I've said it once on this podcast. I love me some Bryce Harper.
Oh yeah.
And it hurt me putting him at number 4, but Mookie Betts does so many things well that like to me, I consider Bryce Harper just a little bit of a negative defensively, and I'd put Mookie Betts at a plus. At the plate, I feel like I'm going to have Mookie Betts hitting more for average. And don't get me wrong, Harper hits for average, and I love it. I think
his
Harper's
going to get on base more, and Harper's going to just do more I think they're both going to do about the same intangibly for your team.
Well, they both are just so high up there on the cool factor that I would put them both on first team all cool. MLB all cool.
Oh, 100%. Imagine an outfield of Trout, Harper, and Betts. Insane.
It'd be like a Backstreet Boys concert with all the girls in the crowd.
Oh yeah, I feel bad
the outfield
for whoever...
seats would sell out every single game.
Yeah, who's gonna fight over right field though? Is Betts gonna say you've won 2 MVPs, so you get right field, Bryce?
Yeah, right field.
I'd take left.
Betts. I'd probably put. I don't know, because this is the thing: is they both have cannons, so you can put them both in right field.
They're all so
Who's
good.
faster? Who's faster?
Mookie's just a superior athlete. So
I'd keep him in right for that reason. I'd put Harper in left, but you're still gonna get that cannon from the corner to home, like that Cespedes throw from years ago.
Oh That was nasty. And then I had to put Kershaw number 3. I had to.
I did. I had Kershaw number 3 on mine as
Like
well.
Kershaw is by far the best pitcher we've seen in the last 15 years.
Yes, yeah,
Like,
he was incredibly dominant. And the thing is that it's like really frustrating looking back on his career is that like all those postseason issues that he had really tainted his legacy,
oh yeah,
and then especially like what the Astros did to him is really
yeah,
really upsetting,
yeah.
like
No, I
legitimately
agree.
upsetting.
I agree. Kershaw is by far the best regular season pitcher probably that we will ever see.
Could be
There's
definitely
no
one of
one
them.
there's no one else right now in the MLB that's even close, except for his heir Walker Buehler.
I like that guy too. That's the thing is I hate that these guys are Dodgers because I like them a lot. I like Bueller. I can't wait for Trevor May to come back. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so I said before that if something catastrophic were to happen with the CBA, this is like our factory reset. But no, what we're doing is the situation is 2 expansion teams have been brought into Major League Baseball, and we are we're holding a draft, and no players are protected in this draft. Is what's going on here. I have to give credit to where it's due. This idea actually came from Nate Moore in the mailbag. Thank you,
Shout
Nate,
out to you, Nate Moore.
for the fun that we're going to have today. All right, now I thought I had a coin, but I do not because I do not carry change on me. Instead, Jewell and I are going to flip this Ken Griffey Jr. for President 1996 button. We're going to flip this. Heads, obviously, because the head on the side, Jewell. Tails is the back side of the pin. Call it in the air. I'll let you know it lands on the ground. Ready?
All right.
Now.
Yep. Heads.
Heads it is. Do you want first or second pick?
I want second pick.
Okay, then I will go first. So we're going to start. We're just going to go through positions, go 2 through 9, designated hitter, 1 starting pitcher, 3 relief pitchers, a closer, and a manager. We're going to take a break in there somewhere as well. But here we go. Let's get to it. First, for my catcher, I'm going to pick JT Realmuto.
Oh yes, thank goodness you did that. So that really changes things. I want catcher is one position that I'm willing to sacrifice offensively because I want a guy who knows what he's doing behind the dish. And for that, I'm taking Platinum Glove Jacob Stallings.
That's a solid pick. I actually spent a lot of time on this one, but I kind of wanted a balance just because I lived through the Mike Zunino era.
He's on my list. He is on my list. He's actually my number 1 option.
I considered putting him on there, but I was like, I just can't justify a 115 hitter when you've got these other guys.
But the glove, the defense, the pitch calling, the framing,
and the managing the pitching staff, everything about it is outstanding. But the Phillies do call JT, they call him QB1 for a reason.
That's true. No, and I'll take Stallings because of the glove. And the glove plays for me. He's a little bit younger, so
okay.
This is a team we are building to compete for 3 to 5 years.
Yes, 3 to 5 years at least, at the very least, if not beyond. Okay, go ahead with your first baseman. Who you got?
All right, I am taking Vladdy G Jr.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. the third. Solid pick. I'm going to take the reigning world, or not the World Series MVP, the National League MVP. No, Freddie Freeman wasn't the National League MVP.
He was in 2020.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to take Frederick.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. He was my second. He was my second option for first base.
Taking Frederick because talk about intangibles. This is going to be a clubhouse full of leaders, and we're gonna win it all.
Yes, Freeman's a good one. He was my second pick. All right, who are you taking for second base?
Second base. I can't. I've got 2 here that I can't decide between. I'm gonna go younger. I'm gonna go with the younger guy. I'm gonna go with Ozzie Albies.
No, that was my guy. Okay, well, I guess I'll take a leader then. I will take Marcus Semien.
He was my other guy.
MVP. If I need to move him around in a couple years, guess what?
Yeah.
I can move him to third. He can play short if one of my guys gets hurt. He's He's beautiful.
Versatile. Yep.
At third base, so right now I'm looking at Stallings, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Marcus Semien. I'm gonna take. Uh, I'm gonna take a perennial guy. I'm gonna take Nolan Arenado.
So this is funny. So he was at the top of my list. I actually crossed him off because he was my default. He was the first guy I immediately thought of. But the only problem I had with him is that he is, and I guess not too big of a problem, but he's 30. And there are
Yeah,
other guys who are considerably younger who are great options at third base. Like for
yeah.
me,
I know
I
where you're going
actually
with this.
went with Austin Riley.
Okay, okay,
Um,
that's interesting. I
with
thought about him, but I'm like, man, when I was doing this, I'm like, man, the Braves have a lot of talent.
They do, and looking back, like going through, it's like, well, no wonder they won the World Series. This team's awesome.
This team's
They're so
loaded,
good.
and they're so young.
They are. They're really young, and I think the rest of the National League should probably be concerned next year
Yeah, no,
because,
especially when
like,
they're healthy.
yes, because this is the thing is like you look at the opening odds the next year, right? And it's like, well, of course, like you're gonna take the defending champs to be like towards the top, close to the favorites,
But this
but
is a team that didn't
legitimately,
have Marcelo Ozuna. This team didn't have Ronald Acuna Jr. They're gonna bring back Freddie Freeman. They're gonna pay Freddie Freeman. They're not letting him go anywhere.
mhm. So this was one of the things that actually sold me on Austin Riley here. I had to pull this up. Was sorry, it's not things aren't really cooperating for me here on Baseball Reference. But one of the big things was his defensive runs saved. That he was actually like absolutely outstanding with defensive runs saved. Was it? Yeah, defensive runs saved above average. He had 13. Brian Hayes led Major League Baseball with 16. Ryan McMahon had 13 as well. He's tied for second.
Yeah,
That's pretty darn good defensively, and
he.
third base is hard.
Oh yeah, he was first team. He was a first team All MLB for many reasons. He's
Mm-hmm.
very good after
So,
being counted off almost, just a couple seasons ago as a bust.
well, and the thing that's funny too is like going into the World Series, like somebody like me who like casually follows a lot of East Coast teams just because those games are typically over by the time I get to turn games on,
Hmm.
Like Austin Riley going to town in the playoffs, like who's this dude?
Yeah, exactly.
But looking into him more, the Braves are set. They're set at third base for a while
All right.
because he's
I
only
think I
24 years old.
yeah, I think I know who you're taking at short. So go ahead and do it.
Carlos Correa.
What?
Yeah.
I for sure thought you were going a different direction here, but I mean, I guess that for me opens up. He's on my list actually. He was my backup. But I guess I'll take El Nino
Hmm.
just because I feel like I have to.
Yeah, and right now Correa is
I
a
thought,
more polished version. I feel like
oh yeah,
Tatis is more
100%.
electric. Tatis is more electric, that's for sure.
Yeah, and this is an
But
energy play. This is an energy play for me. I'm taking
yeah,
Tatis.
100%. I like it though. I'm a big Tatis fan.
All right, in left field, I'm gonna go because we're at 7, right? 7
Uh huh.
left field. I'm
Okay,
on.
hold on. Before we get into left field, I kind of
Okay.
took this approach as like an outfielder who could play left field, right? Who could
Oh,
play
I
the
took it
corners
as like
well.
a left fielder,
Okay, all right, go ahead.
like a traditional left fielder. I'm gonna take because I mean obviously my team's making the playoffs and I gotta win. I'm gonna take Randy Arozarena.
Okay.
He's young, he's fast, he's good in left, so I'm taking
Yeah, and he was on my
Arozarena.
list, but then I was like, well, I could like move an outfielder over to left field, especially a guy who's as good and as athletic as Luis Robert.
Okay, okay. I didn't think about the White Sox at all for my outfield. All right, who you
So,
line up in center next?
and Mike Trout.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
There's nobody else
Yeah,
with the first
yeah.
pick.
Yeah, if you're taking Mike Trout, I guess that makes sense. Well, if a guy who could play center. Can I take Ichiro? Can I take kind of like rewind?
He's got to be an active player.
Dang it.
Ichiro wasn't that great in center, though, I felt like.
He wasn't. He really
He's
wasn't.
way better in right.
Oh, he was amazing in right. A guy who could play center and play it pretty darn well. I'm going to go ahead and take Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts.
He was my backup at center.
Okay.
If you took Trout, I was going to take Betts. Okay. Go ahead with right field. Right field. Go ahead with right field.
You know who I'm taking in right field. Baby Shark, Juan Soto.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, he was top of my list too. All right, last pick, and then we'll take a quick break. So my right fielder, I'm going with Ronald Acuna Jr.
Nice. My backup was actually Aaron Judge for right field.
Interesting pick.
Yeah.
Interesting pick from a staunch Yankee hater.
I know, but he's so good.
He is really good. He is so good.
Stupid good. And, like, fans love him. He's tall. He's handsome.
Yeah, it's true.
Everything you need. So.
Everything you want in a right fielder. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we will start with the DH and finish things off.
The Not Another Sports Podcast is the home of sports talk for everyone. Every other week, you can catch David and Jason as they talk about all things sports. From current events to classic moments and everything in between. You can find the Not Another Sports Podcast on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and more. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
Welcome back, baseball family. We are doing our expansion draft, our hypothetical expansion draft. So it is my pick. We're on to the designated hitter, and I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball here, Jewell, on who I'm taking as my DH. I'm going to take El Nino as my DH. Is that against the rules?
Wait, I already took El Nino as my shortstop.
I know, but it's like a different position. Is that?
No, we can't. There's not two El Ninos.
Oh, that's true. You're right. Then I'll take Ohtani.
Okay. I knew you were going to take Ohtani, so I'm actually going to take Bryce Harper.
That's a solid pick.
Harper was my backup because I can use him in the outfield. And
I would love to have Bryce Harper as a Mariner as a DH. Like, so bad. So much. I would love it.
That'd be perfect.
But, all right, go ahead. So who's your starting pitcher?
If we're going in a one-game series, a guy who I know is going to age well, I'm taking Garrett Cole from the Yankees.
Oh, yikes.
He's going to age. He's going to age super well. The talent's there. It's always been there, whether he was in Pittsburgh, Houston, or now in New York. Yeah. It's there. It's great.
And he figured stuff out post-sticky stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Dominant.
Yeah,
dominant.
He is. I don't think he's as dominant as my guy, though.
Who are you taking? Who are you taking as your starter?
Jacob deGrom.
DeGrom was my next pick, but the health worried me.
You know what, though? With what you get when he is healthy, I'll take it. I'll take the risk.
Yeah. Well, he even scored all the runs in the game too when he starts.
I know the dude is one. The dude has won games single-handedly.
Yeah.
And and he does feel older than he is, but he's only 33.
Yeah, he's still relatively for a starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he just needs to cool it off a little bit, stop trying to throw 100, and settle with 95, 96.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna tell a guy. Take a little off.
I would for DeGrom's long term, tone it back a little bit.
I don't know. I'd still have him bring it. I might just monitor his pitch count a little bit more because you can't have him going deep into every game, even though he's perfectly, obviously, capable of it because he's in the situation to do it, and you kind of need him to. But I might dial that back a little bit. And, let's have you go 5, and then we'll cut it regardless, and
we'll
build up a bullpen around you.
Exactly.
But it's
Which
tough with a
is,
dude that dominant.
yeah, next on you. Who's your first bullpen piece?
Kendall Graveman is my first bullpen piece. I don't know why I went with him first, but I decided to go with Graveman as my first reliever.
Okay. I'm gonna take Devin Williams from Milwaukee, the 2019 runner, 2020 Rookie of the Year runner-up.
Okay.
So,
My next guy. I was in love with the Mariners bullpen this year. I'll be honest. I'm gonna go with Casey Sadler.
okay. If anyone from the Mariners bullpen, I'm not taking him. I would have taken Steckenrider
Well,
or Seawold or anyone
he
else.
may or may not be on my list.
Okay. The next guy I'm going to take as a reliever, I'm going to take Aroldis Chapman.
Oh, that's that's nice. And you know what? That's funny because I was looking at him and I was like, you know what? I'm not in love with him as a closer anymore.
Mm-mm.
But for short relief, the setup man.
I'll throw him out there in 7th, 8th.
Yeah.
A
Don't ask him to
lefty.
get 6 out, but he'll get 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lefty
setup
that
man.
you can rely on. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, my next guy, I'm gonna go with Will Smith.
And we're doing 3 relievers, 1 closer, right?
Correct.
Okay. So my next reliever I'm going to take, and this is another guy, same boat as Chapman, who I don't love as a closer anymore, but I still love the guy, is Kenley Jansen.
And yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. As a setup man,
Yeah.
I'd take him. Mm-hmm.
Like, I would not want to see him in the 8th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, it's like what the Mariners tried to do with Diego Castillo, right? As a setup man. I think they tried to keep him as a closer, but then he was later a setup man.
Yeah,
but
no, he's a very good
choice.
setup man.
Yeah, good choice. All right. Let's see here. So you're first on closer.
Okay. So I got my bullpen of Chapman, Jansen, and Devin Williams. I'm going to take a fan favorite in the Mad Hatter. I'm taking the back end of the Brewers bullpen, taking Josh Hader. Because I think he is the best closer in the National League, and it's not close.
You can have him. Because I want Paul Sewald.
The energy is so good with Paul Sewald.
I love that guy. He's awesome. So, real quick story about him. So we were sitting next to the bullpen when I took my son Wilson to the game. When the Mariners were in town, it was the Saturday night game. Yeah, Saturday night game of that weekend series, and I don't know the bullpen catcher's name. Baez. It's like number 6 or 66 or whatever like that, and a ball like straight went between his legs, hit the wall, and then came back and hit him in the back. And Sewald turns around, and he's like, "Hey, come on, get down, work hard." It's like the traditional. The traditional like coaching up his catcher, just come on, get down on that 6. Come on, work hard.
I hated that. I played catcher. The very first position I played in Little League was catcher, and that gives me trauma. That gives me bad memories. All right.
No, it was funny because I could tell he's joking. But anyway. All right.
Who's your manager?
Manager. I've got to go with Joe Madden.
Okay. I'm going to take Mr. Analytics. I'm taking Kevin Cash.
Yeah, see, and so my reasoning behind Madden is I feel like he would be able to find a creative way to bring all this talent together and make them play as a cohesive unit and find some creative way to use, mix up that outfield, work with that talent in the infield and things like that. So I have to go with Madden because the dude is just like there's something going on up there and I don't know what it is, but
and that's one of the same reasons I went with Kevin Cash, because Kevin Cash can make a 100-win team out of a $40 million payroll.
Yeah. Kevin Cash or the front office, I don't know which one it is. Whoever it is doing a great job down there, though.
Kevin Cash is back-to-back finalists for AL Manager of the Year. And then his system is now spreading to Toronto. His coaching tree is like expanding with quality coaches. Like,
yeah, that's true. Is he going to be like the Bill Belichick of MLB, where like guys are like, oh, you coached with Cash? Come on over.
100%. Like,
Or
Cash
like,
is one of those guys.
who's the coach of the Rams right now? Sean McVay.
McVay, yeah.
Like, oh, you were friends with McVay in college? Come on over here and coach.
Yeah. Oh, you're from the McVay coaching tree? You were his, third
His
assistant
ball boy.
linebackers coach?
Yeah, that's what's going to happen with Kevin Cash and his coaching tree. So those guys are going to be all over the league, and it's going to be, it's going to be impacted by him. Okay, so real quick, my team, starting from my starting pitcher down through 9, I have Jacob deGrom, JT Realmuto, Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Carlos Correa, Luis Robert, Mike Trout, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Shohei Ohtani coming in at DH, all managed by Joe Madden. Oh, and relievers, Kendall Graveman, Will Smith, Casey Sadler, and closing it out with Paul Sewald.
And I took Garrett Cole on the mound, opposite, Stallings behind the plate, Vlad Guerrero at first, Semien at second, Nolan Arenado at third, Tatis at the Keystone. No, that's second, my bad. Tatis at short, Arozarena at left, Mookie Betts in center, Juan Soto in right, Harper at my DH, while Chapman, Jansen, Williams all handle the bullpen duties, while the Mad Hatter will close this game out and ultimately win a game and keep us going in the playoffs, all managed by Kevin Cash for your Jackson, Mississippi River Cats.
Oh, the River Cats. That's solid. That's solid.
Jackson City, Jackson River Cats.
Okay, so I went with Charlotte.
Of course, that was my second pick.
And they're going to steal their color scheme from the Hornets. They're going to have a similar color scheme from the Hornets, but they're going to take a name from the KBO, and they're going to be the Charlotte Dinos for no other reason than the name is awesome.
That's true. No,
that is why
I like the River Cats, because Jackson River Cats, and for me, Mississippi was like the perfect place because it's like tucked down in there in the south.
Mm-hmm.
It needs some more baseball down there.
Yeah.
Imagine going to like a River Cats game in Jackson, Mississippi. Imagine the smells from that ballpark and that block on
That'd
game
be outstanding.
day.
Yeah.
Just some Southern blues music on the corner. Jazz. Ooh.
I think it's a good way to go.
A great
I like
game.
it. I like it.
And all the highlights would be a guy like eating a rib, catching a foul ball.
100%. Absolutely 100%. Yeah. Very good. Well, baseball family, let us know what you think about our teams. How horrible are we at drafting, or how great did we do? And what do you think about our team names? I'm the Charlotte Dinos, and then you had the Jackson River. What was the River Cats?
River Cats. Yep.
Yeah, the Jackson River Cats. Let us know. And heck, if you want to send us your team and your team name, send it on over and we'll read it off on the podcast. You can do that by jumping in the mailbag at baseballtogether.com. And there's a link in the navigation there. There's also always a link in the description down below the episode as well. And while you're online, don't forget to jump on the shop at 9plusus.com. Spell it out, NINEPLUSUS.com, where you can get Jewell is wearing the hashtag True to the Blue shirt tonight. That is from our hashtag series. I have on my United We Fan Arizona inspired hat and my, of course, Pirate baseball shirt, because I wear this at least 3 times a week because it's fantastic and I love it. But anyway, Jewell, thanks again for jumping on with me and filling in for Brig this week. Really appreciate it.
Of course. We didn't have to hear about the Yankees too much. So, I mean, that's always a blessing to the listeners.
It is. Yeah. I'm sure they really appreciate it.
And then, while you're online shopping at 9plusus, make sure you head over to theballboyblog.com. Just started revamping the content going into 2022. No better time while there's no baseball.
Exactly.
Tasty Talk, I'll be talking about the CBA this week. A couple of the points you mentioned today, a couple that we didn't, and just going throughout that. So if you want the audio content, you got Baseball Together. If you're more of the written word, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, we don't keep up on the Baseball Together blog nearly as much as we like to, and by that I mean like really at all these days. So hop on over to the Ball Boy blog and check out what Jewell's doing there. He does some great stuff. But once again, thank you very much, and baseball family, we will catch you next week.